In my last video about furries, one of my longtime detractors, Steve Salmon, said that furries do not work. According to our favorite fur hater, he says that furries are unemployed losers with nothing better to do than to suit up. I find that fact hard to believe for many reasons. First of all, consider the furries themselves. It should be no surprise that only a third, if that many to begin with, of furries actually have fursuits. It's because these fursuits are not found in stores, as most furries have their fursuits commissioned by expert fursuit builders in the furry fandom. These suits on average cost around $2,000 if I'm right. I could be right, I could be wrong, but that's the average right there. But anyone in the fandom knows that in order to have a good fursuit, they're going to have to cough up some serious cash. Something that you don't get by laying around doing nothing. Then one has to consider these furry conventions. Most of these conventions involve a lot of travel, which involves a lot of cash. This may explain why furries have to travel in groups to cut down on costs when traveling to these aforementioned conventions. And that does not cover the trip, mind you, as there are also expenses such as lodging and funds to buy things at these fur conventions. Something that you don't get from not working. Am I right? And here's the meat of the video right here, ladies and gentlemen, in the furry community, whether you're a furry or not. I am quite certain that furries come from all walks of life. I'm sure there are furries that are as young as teenagers, and there are some that are probably as old as in their 50s. There are probably some that are just getting in the fandom, as I'm speaking right now, and there are some that are just been in the fandom since the 1980s. Think of that for a moment. Let that soak in, Steve. Let it soak in, fish boy. I highly doubt the fandom is in danger anytime soon of dying out. There are men and women that are furries, and there are furries of all races, creeds, occupations, orientations, and possibly all ages, as I've said previously. I am quite certain there are furries that are students, doctors, dispatchers, office workers, construction workers, the whole 9 yards. There are even furries that make a living making fursuits for these other furries. I would not be surprised if there are furries serving in the country's military right now. Imagine that for a moment, Steve Salmon. Furries serving in our military, fighting for your right to express your distaste of furries while fighting for my right to freely associate and admire furries. Wouldn't that be interesting? Yet you're gonna sit around and whine and cry. Wah, wah, wah. Our country's going down the toilet. Wah, wah, wah. Yet I've never seen you do anything about it. All you do is complain on my YouTube videos about how the country's going down the toilet. Never once have I seen you say anything about what you're doing to fix the problem, other than complain on some guy's YouTube videos. I have to ponder what your counter-arguments are going to be, Steve. What's your counter video gonna be towards me, Steve Salmon? Are you making a difference? If not, why not? Why aren't you making a difference? Why aren't you out there actually saying something instead of watching YouTube videos? You'd like to talk all big and bad and think you're somebody, but the actual truth is, Steve, you're doing nothing but commenting on my YouTube videos. Why don't you actually do something instead of sitting behind your computer? As you can tell, I have a lot of books in here, which shows I like to read. Do you like to read, or do you just like to sit around a big fat computer screen and act like a big old troll going, oh yeah, oh I hate furries, oh Lord Shadrach, oh blah, blah, blah. Seriously, dude. What's your counter-argument going to be against me? And if you don't have one, why not? I look forward to your replies in the comments section, Steve Salmon.